Cheers, people. Here's to a sunny Monday afternoon on the wind down, on the come down from the weekend. And we are chilling. We are chilling. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is doing splendidly well. Some news has been circulating and doing the rounds today of various different topics, which we are going to be delving into. I've forgotten to actually write it on a prompt, because usually that's what I do. I'm just going to quickly write up the prompt now. So I'm just writing up my prompts there. Ooh. There was one other thing that I had. Something else. Oh, yes, that's it. Now I remember. Now I remember. Because I write up everything on my thumbnail, which is quite funny that I sort my thumbnail. And then my clapped arse decides to forget everything that I write down on my my thumbnail. So that's all well and good. Okay, yeah, there we go. So that's all set up. That's all sorted. But topics we've got to discuss today, the things that we are going to cover. So we've got TODIBO. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. TODIBO, the French Nice centre-back, 23 years of age. Apparently, we appreciate him. We appreciate the links and the potential to signing him or entertaining negotiations. We appreciate. I mean, what does that even mean? How do you describe a club's appreciation? Because wouldn't you technically say that, if Manchester United appreciate TODIBO, they appreciate Lionel Messi, they appreciate Kylian Mbappe, they appreciate Neymar, they appreciate practically almost every player on the planet. Does that mean that because we appreciate the player that we should decide to go sign them? So that means every single player that breathes oxygen on this planet that doesn't already wear the shirt for Manchester United is a viable target for the club? Maybe. I don't know why or what's going on with media reports these days with all of this this wordplay to try and find every possible way of saying that a club is interested in a player, but then actually we're not interested in the player. But it's in the news, it's doing the rounds, so we somewhat have to address it. So that's what we will do. So as far as Nice's Jean-Claire TODIBO is concerned, that we are apparently entertaining the potential to sign these players. Now, I'm not going to start pretending to be like top Gooners or top Reds or top Spurs and tell you the entire life story of a player that I've never seen a minute of playing in my life. So I'm not going to beat around the bush and say, well, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about him. I don't think we have been linked to him before. They might have been when the first time the links came out for Axel Disasi happened, that we were looking at centre-back options and sort of drawing up potentials. Anthony Okonkwo, okay, I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but Okonkwo. I'm going to say Okonkwo. Tell me if that's right or wrong, but big ups to you. Welcome to the channel. Hope you are doing well. Shazam, good to see you. Never heard of him. I mean, we should ask top Reds. We should ask the top Devils of our fan base. Maybe they could tell you everything that you need to know. They are the walking encyclopedia and Wikipedias of the footballing transfer market, it would seem. They have everything everyone needs to know. Um, but yeah, I've no clue. But if there is anybody that has watched him, um, so here we go. Anthony Okonkwo says that Todibo is really, really, really good. Far better than Disasi with better control and ball carrying ability. So potentially a viable option. And it's probably going to solely rely around the club. The club actually seeing fit to overcoming a very immovable obstacle that seems to be standing in our way, which is actually selling Harry Maguire. And Harry Maguire is in this show later on because I am sick to the back teeth of seeing what some people are talking about Harry Maguire, especially after the fact of the Dortmund game. So we're going to address that a little bit later on. He is French, young, and a real fighter. The French Lisandro Martinez, people. The French Lisandro Martinez. He's got the dog in him. He's got the dog in him. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I perhaps should probably not be so ignorant to the fact and actually go and read up on the player and actually watch some of what he's actually capable of, what he's actually got in his locker, and actually draw a more in-depth conclusion to how good the player is, and to give a much more open, honest, and diverse, inverted review on the player, right? Maybe that's what I need to do. But I'm literally only seeing what goes into the news and reacting to it, and essentially giving my thoughts and feelings about all different matters to do with topics that trend in the Manchester United sphere. But Todibo, we've also apparently got Everton's Jared Branthwaite on that list, on a short list of names mentioned, to addressing MUFC's centre-back interest. That's apparently being reported by Simon Jones. Branthwaite. I mean, God almighty. I mean, I don't, the guy doesn't start for Everton. Literally doesn't start for Everton. I don't know why we're considering Branthwaite. Even if he is, an okay centre-back, if I want someone that's a little bit lesser known, just a little bit on the more conservative side of things, I want someone that's going to be much more boisterous, that's much more in your face, and will leave a mark on the pitch, will leave an impact, a lasting impact on the pitch. And Branthwaite, if you're telling me Branthwaite's got to be that guy, not too sure about that, if I'm going to be completely honest. But if Todibo is much more closer to a Martinez personality on the pitch, then I'm absolutely all for it, because as I've said once or twice already, just give me 11 Lisandro Martinez's on the pitch and I'll be happy, because then you've got every single position filled by a player that actually gives a toss about Manchester United and winning. Most importantly, winning. They all have the fight. They all have the spirit, a desire, determination, everything. You list it off the front of your hand, the back of your hand, everywhere. They've got the qualities and that we need as a club to actually compete, win games, win trophies, and everything else in expansion to that point. So absolutely, here's the French leecher. He can play the Ten Hag game better than Maguire and Lindelof. Lindelof, God almighty, I mean, according to match ratings, Lindelof had an absolute howler last night. And the fact that we were conceding goals to defensive mistakes in a pre-season, I mean, when you're under pressure, and, sometimes at pressure, you can crack a little bit. That's understandable. But in a pre-season game where there's no pressure at all, like there's literally nothing to worry about. I mean, what is it? Magaloff. The Magaloff centre-back partnership strikes again with mediocrity and memes. It's a meme. It's a literal meme. Rival fans love it. Maguire and Lindelof centre-back partnerships, it has never worked before, it doesn't work now, and it will never work in the future. Even if they go and play for another club, maybe in the MLS, if both of them start together in the MLS, maybe whichever club it is that they go and play for, they get relegated. Who knows? But the centre-back partnership, that really just does not work. Maguire and Lindelof, I mean, God, it's just the biggest headache. Well, it's no comparison to the headache that I seemingly get from fans that absolutely rate Maguire. I mean, it seriously makes no sense, and that will come later in the show. But what we want is some our players. You know, if we're signing players, we want them to fit the Ten Hag system. We know Maguire doesn't fit. We know factually. I mean, Lindelof last season when he did play, he actually had some steady Eddie games, and that's okay. That's okay if you have steady Eddie games. You don't need to set the pitch alight with some insane defending. You know, you don't need to do that every game because sometimes the team as a unit just defends and does the job for you. You know, it's like a two-way street, but both ways are covered by player contribution, but then the team collective contribution the other way. It complements each other. And sometimes Lindelof, you know, as much as he's not a world-beating centre-back or really even close to a world-class level, probably barely scrapes it into a great level or top quality level. He's still, if he's got a solid team around him and a solid centre-back partner, he does okay. We factually know this. We've watched it. But as soon as Maguire gets inserted into that picture, all bets are off. Whoever it is, Varane's made to look crap against with Maguire. Lindelof's made to look crap with Maguire. Martinez on several occasions has made to look crap with Maguire. He's literally a walking liability, and this guy cannot stay at this club. So Sam says here, won't be surprised if we get our annual Real Madrid player in Alaba at the end of the window. Now, Alaba's a name that I think has gone a little bit quiet, a little bit under the radar. Not a huge amount of discussion going on there, but I think it really sort of will come down to the finances. And it's like when people talk about the Harry Kane deal, it's like, where are you getting the money for the Harry Kane deal from? Like, we're in the realms of sell to buy. So unless you fancy selling half of the Manchester United squad just for the sake of signing Harry Kane, if you're that hell bent on, you know, politically, you know, making ends meet by delivering on your word of signing Harry Kane, then I guess half of the Man United squad is completely expendable, because that's the only way you're raising enough money to do the Harry Kane transfer. And that's pretty much, you know, case in point with where we are as a football club. I mean, you know, option A, we can't afford to do it, but then everyone speculates that you've got this itching feeling that we're going to come in for a late swoop. Oh, Bayern's going to do the deal. Mate, we'll literally get in the car to go drive off to go negotiate the deal. The car won't start. And on top of that, the fuel tank is empty. So even if you could get the engine ignited, it's not going to go anywhere because there's no petrol. So it's literally the double whammy as far as doing the Harry Kane deal is concerned. So I don't know why people are worrying about it, but Alaba is obviously going to be nowhere near as expensive to do a transfer fee for. So it's always going to be a question to a point to question whether it's a legitimate target or whether it's just more of like a market feeler. Because I know the amount of times we get those little market feelers. Oh, Jesus Christ! It's like it's so much feeling in the market going on for half of these clubs. It's like they're permanently doing that challenge where you stick your hands through little holes into a box that you can't see what's inside of it, and you've got to guess what it is you're touching. It's just like, it feels like they're just playing the longest game of that, and it just never ends. But we'll have to see how things progress. And based off of the Maguire sale, which I still can't believe that it's not. Yeah, there's a plausible point. I mean, Fabrizio Romano said it as well on the United stand earlier, that Man United might be considering to going into next season with these four centre backs. We know full well that one is the biggest liability on planet Earth. So I'm left scratching my head here. Anthony says, when it was reported that Chelsea have signed Disasi in principle, I danced and danced knowing that we wouldn't get him again. TODIBO is the truth. I think there's an element to it where it's just like, I'm at the point where it's like, I suppose there's a feeling like how Man United fans felt about the Glazers for a long time, right? Anything but the Glazers. I'm in the same boat with Harry Maguire now. Anything but Maguire. So Johnny Evans would do a better job at centre-back for Manchester United than Harry Maguire would. I mean, you don't see Johnny Evans making himself look like a clown on a football pitch and having a goalkeeper that's been here for a couple of weeks start screaming and shouting at you and hurling abuse at you for doing something stupid on a football pitch. So, yeah, I mean, Disasi, whether he's everyone's cup of tea or not, I mean, it's like, as long as it's not Maguire at this club, we're going somewhere. I mean, I heard that some people were saying, "Oh, I'm glad Kim Min Jae didn't come because he's literally another Maguire." I'm just like, what the fuck? The guy's waltzed it to a Serie A title. Maguire, the only thing Maguire celebrates is how many relegations he's got. You know, if he, it's like if Arsene Wenger can champion top four, then Harry Maguire can champion relegation. It's that bad for? It's literally that bad for Harry. So. But I'm down for either. You know, I'm down for either. I mean, some people don't rate Disasi. Some people won't rate TODIBO. It just really depends. But as long as the player comes in, just get him to fill out a checklist. Am I better than Harry Maguire? Happy days. Yes. Fantastic. You may come in. You may come in and, lovely stuff. Lovely jubbly. Alaba. Experience-wise, yeah. But I don't think he is consistent as a centre-back in Ten Hag style of play, plus his weight will be mad like Kane. And that is probably case in point to one of the ways in which the board wants to take the club. They want to be, they banished the lucrative wages with the no dickheads policy post Cristiano Ronaldo sacking. So they introduced, CEO Richard Arnold said, no dickheads policy. We're not going to entertain anything for stupid money. You know, we're going to be straightforward. We're going to be no BS, no tolerance to any nonsense like that, and everyone's going to have a justified wage at this club. Unfortunately, they've already thrown that out the bag with Mason Mount, but also Marcus Rashford's contract renewal. So, that's kind of been flushed down the toilet. So, however much Alaba would negotiate for, I don't know if he would be open to taking pay cuts. But then again, because it's Manchester United, if you're David Alaba, there's probably no world in which you sit there and expect to get a pay cut or be asked to take a pay cut. You probably sit there and say, well, no. If anything, I want a pay rise. You know, I'm moving from a top level club to a top level club. I'm going to want a pay rise. I'm not interested in no pay cuts or trying to conform to your policy, this policy, that. Like, I don't care about no club politics. All I want is just more money, and I'll move. I'll come to your club if you pay me more money. And it's probably as simple as that. But with Harry Kane, Jesus Christ, the wages that apparently people are talking about were like 500k. It's like what you've just said here. Harry Kane is awesome, but for 525k a week, and 100 million in transfer is a no-no from me. I mean, it's like those wages you're only really begging for a 1 to 2 year deal for Harry Kane. It's like those sort of wages kind of beg that sort of a contract length, which is probably why there's not a huge amount of clubs going in for Harry Kane, because the amount of people that go raving mad about Harry Kane, I mean, it literally is probably, I know obviously Daniel Levy's the most stubborn bastard that there is in football, and he hates doing negotiations for Tottenham Hotspur players with anybody, you know, obviously that's one core factor as to why Harry Kane's not got more suitors, but also the massively stupid wages. I mean, even the top clubs around Europe, like Real Madrid, with the wages of that sort of level, even they would probably be second guessing it. And besides, if they're gearing up to take a massive wage from a player, they're not going to do it for somebody that's on the other side of 30. They're going to do it for a player that's still on the come up and that's still yet to reach his prime years. And that there's one player that fits the bill for them, and that's Kylian Mbappe. So no chance that other top clubs. I mean, probably the best chance of Harry Kane actually getting another football club at this stage will probably be Bayern Munich. I know that obviously next summer he'll probably be a free agent because God only knows if he's actually going to sign a contract renewal if he can't get this move to Bayern done and ends up staying at Tottenham Hotspur for another season. God only knows if what's going to happen next season or who's going to sign him, because if he doesn't do the contract renewal, I'll tell you what, what is it? Is it Joe Lewis from ENIC saying, look, you either, if he's not going to get a contract renewal, you do the contract renewal this summer, but if you can't get him to do a renewal for this summer, then sell him this summer. So if Daniel Levy somehow falls right between the cracks in this, does that mean Daniel Levy could face the sack? Maybe, but I don't know. I do not know. Let's get to Remy or Kudus to supplement and complement Højlund instead of Kane. And that's the thing. Look, clubs, Manchester City won a league title without a recognised number 9. We've got a recognised number 9. The rest of the team needs to be good enough to compensate for that. And that's the problem that Manchester United have essentially had, is that everywhere else in the pitch is not good enough. So even if you had a world-class number, and this speaks volumes. Who remembers the days of Van Gaal, right? When we had Van Persie, Rooney, Falcao, Angel Di Maria, whoever else it was. I mean, I think Danny Welbeck was there for like a season. He might have left in the David Moyes season, to be honest. He might have done. But Chicharito Hernandez as well was there for a season under Van Gaal. We had so many players up top, but the midfield and defence was lacking. So as much as you can have a great striker, if the rest of the team's not ticking, and we saw a little glimpse of that, by the way, we saw a little glimpse of that against Dortmund. So problems may ensue, and I'm all for signing other players that actually, fit all the puzzle pieces everywhere else on the pitch, because then you can stick someone that's not a natural striker. If they get loads of chances, they're bound to score. Right. Disasi is a Maguire Pro Max 2.0. Chelsea just got mugged. Well, I'll tell you what, I know that Chelsea definitely need a centre-back because Wesley Fofana, who, God bless him, is actually, his injury could rule him out for up to an entire season, which is based off of what I've seen on the news front regarding the injury to Wesley Fofana, which is absolutely gutting for a player. But I don't know if there's been an update to the injury case for Wesley Fofana, that he's actually out for about that sort of time, or if he's could be expected to be back sooner than that. I think we're all sort of guessing at this point, but they reckon potential to there being up to a whole season out, which is absolutely horrendous for any player in any scenario, because you miss an entire season of football. I mean, Jesus, you get that wiped off of your record books. It's like that's just time for a short career that you're never going to get back. And in Wesley Fofana's case, for a player that's still quite young, I mean, if you're on the other side of 30 or something around those sorts of years, you're like, well, shit happens. But if you're a young player, lose an entire season, I mean, Jesus Christ. uh, I guess I wouldn't even, if Maguire was like 24, 25, I wouldn't even wish a season-long injury on Harry Maguire, because that's just making shit personal. And yeah, my regards to Harry Maguire's, like, that the hatred that I have for Harry Maguire is Harry Maguire the player. And yes, I do hate Harry Maguire the player. Henceforth, I want that guy to leave my club. Please leave. Nobody takes a pay cut to play for United. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's never going to change unless Manchester United becomes some small club. If they turn into a small club tomorrow, then maybe we can bargain for pay cuts. But God forbid that ever happen. Um, even for free, we should pay. Even for free, we shouldn't. I think is what what you mean to say there. We shouldn't pay Harry Kane that wage. Maybe a 350k wage, but definitely not to 505k. Yeah, 100%. I think 350k is probably a much closer, more warranted wage demand, especially for a player that's not won any trophies whatsoever. But for someone around that sort of caliber, around that sort of age, it's probably a much more justified wage to ask for, about 350k a week. We shouldn't pay Kane that amount, even if he comes for free. Yeah. Um, that comment's come up twice for some reason. No idea why that's happened. Let's carry on to the next agenda, because TODIBO, literally it was meant to be just about TODIBO, but literally we've ended up going down the rabbit hole, and that's the danger of doing a show when you've got an interactive chat, because if you can end up going down the rabbit hole and end up in a completely different conversation that you don't expect. But that's probably the exciting nature about doing these shows. But we're going to move on to the second point, that in the thumbnail, the order of the thumbnail is ADIDAS supposedly done a big fat kit deal renewal with Manchester United, and what that could entail. Richard Arnold has apparently spoken words on the new Adidas deal. So it's official that MUFC and Adidas have extended their long-term kit supplier partnership. So Richard Arnold has said that the relationship between MUFC and Adidas is one of the most iconic in world sports, forged through a shared commitment to style, flair, and most importantly, high performance. Unfortunately, the board doesn't replicate that. So Arnold, with its roots in the 1980s, our partnership has been reinvented over the past decade with some of the most innovative designs and technology in sportswear. We want to have futuristic kits. Want to have some. If you're going to do futuristic kits, get us some like glow in the dark ones, like super cool, like glow up red ones that give players extra powers. Maybe we can give Harry Maguire superpowers on the pitch. Maybe he'll actually end up warranting to actually start games for United, and maybe we can win a trophy with Harry Maguire playing at centre back for us. Unfortunately, that sort of idea belongs in La La Land, and it's not real, sadly. But Arnold also has gone on to say here that we are now looking forward to refreshing this powerful partnership again through the remainder of this decade and into the 2030s. So it's a long-term deal. Very, very long-term deal. So the Adidas CEO, Bjorn Golden, we will combine tradition and innovation to please both players and the fans. We look forward to continuing our partnership with one of the most iconic clubs in football. And the finances of said deal of partnership is set to be worth around £900 million for 10 years. Oof. It's a lot of money. I've just seen the Mason Greenwood comment there as well, that MUFC also are expected to announce their decision on Mason Greenwood within the next 2 weeks. And that's deciding whether they want to keep him, loan him, sell him, whatever it is. Come to think of it, Greenwood is our player. He is absolutely elite and available and would pair Højlund on the right better than Anthony. The question is if Greenwood's not up to speed, because I mean the guy's been out of football for a very long time. Would you rather him be, getting back up to speed and getting his finding his form, or sharpening his edge again in or cutting his teeth on in a different league for a different team at the top level, or do you want him to be sharpening his teeth on Premier League football, which he could end up playing with scraps, dependent on how, if he's not that quick to get up to speed again. Because I think as far as things are concerned on the morality side of the Mason Greenwood stuff, I mean, the way I feel about the Mason Greenwood thing is that personally, I don't feel like there's a righteousness, moralistically, a righteousness, or it just feels like there's like it's like there's mud on our hands with Mason Greenwood, with all the crazy shit that's happened, that he comes back into the first team picture. I mean, everyone's got their thoughts and feelings at the club about the Mason Greenwood stuff, but at the end of the day, if he's not really been proven innocent or guilty, it's literally just a case got dropped. But look, if the player is, the player's now a dad, right? Mason Greenwood is now a dad. He's, I think, engaged to get married to the same girl that apparently was included in all of this. My only concern on a footballing side of things, or a sporting side of things, is whether, if Mason Greenwood, if he were to get back up to speed, doing it at Manchester United, I don't think you're going to see the best of Mason Greenwood if he spent that long out of football just to come back into things whilst he's probably not completely up to speed. So if you wanted Mason Greenwood to come back into the picture, into the fray, I think probably the best case of getting him back up to speed would be a loan move away. So, I mean, some people say, well, look, Mason Greenwood, regardless of what he's done, is regarded as a generational talent in football, and that can't be mistaken. So, it's really just down to what everyone, as per mass majority, wants to do. And maybe Mason Greenwood has, as good as he is with this striking ability, could offer us something as far as goal threats are concerned off of the right-hand side. Maybe that's what he can do. But that's pretty much a case of the bridge that we'll cross when we get to it. Unfortunately, the most that we can do is just speculate, because at the end of the day, the club are the ones that hold the keys to the player's future. So letting him go will be best for all parties, including him. And then, that's a testament to, everybody having different thoughts and opinions. I mean, we've got Anthony, who wants Greenwood to be playing for the club again, who wants him to come back and pretty much come back tomorrow if he can and stop playing. And we've got Shazam on the other side of the coin that feels it's probably better for him to go. And that's okay. People will perhaps agree to disagree. People will have different thoughts and feelings about matters. And that's the thing. It's a free right for everyone to have their own thoughts and feelings about all of these matters, if it's more serious or if it's a bit more of a joking matter, whatever it may be. Everyone's got the free rights, unless it's something that is literally an ongoing court case. Then speculating could be damaging. Public discussion on a larger scale platform. I mean, discussing it here, it's not really going to be too much trouble. But if you say on United Stand, there's all of this discussion about court cases and everything, biggest footballing YouTube platform, probably some troubles might ensue. So, but anyways, back with the Adidas deal, Adidas dealio. I suppose the fallout, I think there's been a bit of a fallout with this Adidas deal, as much as it's going to be interesting. I mean, God forbid that they give us more away kits like the one we've got. Literally, I like to call it the failed Newcastle kit. because it's like someone's just like, oh, draw me up a Newcastle kit. Okay, here's a design. Oh no, that doesn't look so good. Oh well, what do we do with it? I don't know. Just hand the style or design off to Manchester United Chiefs and see if they like it for a kit, and they just went, oh yeah, we love that kit. Who knows? I mean, even if it's not the sort of like, yeah, black and white of Newcastle, at the end of the day, it's a dark green. Saudi Arabia is, they like the color green as a representation to their flag's colors, isn't it? So technically, even with dark green, you could say from a Saudi Arabian perspective, it's a failed Newcastle kit, even on that regard. So it's possible, but we can continue to speculate on said matters. But the Adidas deal, the fallouts that have followed, is got people questioning the ownership and what's going on with the club sale. Um, I think most people are saying, well, look, that's a massive lucrative deal for shirt partners and everything, um, is going to mean that the Glazers are not selling. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, they're not going to sell, are they? Not going to sell. And it's like, it's possible to think that. It is possible to think that. But there's also another theory that I have with, an Adidas partnership, because I know with, oh, 1 second. That was my mother. She was handing me back my belt after went gardening this morning. So, but yeah, I think it's the Adidas deal's got a lot of people really on edge. That has a lot of people have perhaps jumped to conclusions. Shazam says here, do you think the success and positivity that Ten Hag brings to the team is making the Glazers not think about selling? Probably less so the success, but rather the money that comes with it. Because if you've got a successful team, more sponsorships will start to circle and will want to sign deals, sponsorship deals with the club. So it means more money, right? So yeah, I think it's like the Glazers could not give less of a toss about whether United is successful or not. They literally could not care less. A part of them probably wishes, well, I really, really wish that United could just lose every game, get relegated and everything, just for the sake of pissing off all the fans. But all the sponsorships just want to sign deals with us because we make them so much money. It's like that's probably the dreams that the Glazer family have at night, among other heinous criminal things that they probably dream about, much like Epstein's Island, sort of graphic content perhaps they've got going through their cynical minds. But essentially, Glazers could not give less of a toss. Probably the success side of things is only to generate the interest from sponsorship deals. But then again, we say, well, look, sponsorship deals, the fan pressure does influence a lot of what goes on with some of these bigger corporations that want to do business with Manchester United. I mean, TeamViewer, the amount of harassment that these guys have had, they said, look, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. We're not renewing any deals. I know that they're relatively new still, but they're not going to renew a deal. They've said, look, we're off the table. When our deal is up, you can go get someone else on your shirt sponsor. So fan pressure can influence the decision for a lot of these companies. I think Adidas, as far as doing kit sponsors, as much as everyone's wanting to boycott Adidas, it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult to influence Adidas into actually not being a shirt sponsor for United. But we'll also look into a theory that I perhaps have as regarding in relation to the sale process regarding the Adidas deal. Sal Maguire, else we are going to drop important points like last season, mate. That's the next topic. We'll jump into that in a second, but literally the game last night is a big telltale for everything that is wrong with what could be Manchester United's defensive options next season. I read somewhere that they now want 8 billion. I think this came from somebody that's doing a press report, and again, no business accounts have said anything. Not one person from a business perspective or background has said anything about the asking price changing. It's literally come from another football journalist or just another, you know, the commoner of the news reports. Someone saying, "Oh well, the Glazers now want 8 billion." Says who? I mean, no one's been told anything, because otherwise, if the Glazers turned around and said, "Well, look, we want 8 billion," maybe the actions of a couple of parties, talking about it and saying, "Oh well, this is a sham." I'll tell you what. I reckon Qatar or Ineos could legitimately, if the Glazers announced to them that they want 8 billion, because even with 6 billion asking price, no one's matched it. No one's gone to 6 billion. Like literally, no one's gone up to 6 billion. Somebody, if the Glazers went up to 8 billion and told them, someone from the press release that favors that group would say it's an absolute shambles. It's a farce. The whole takeover process a complete farce. And we believe that it's in our best interest to step away from the takeover, because that's what I would do. I mean, the Glazers keep doing that to prolong a sell process. I mean, people talk about Newcastle sale process. Some people think it got done quickly. Apparently, that took about a year from the first phone call or the first negotiations to the actual acquisition of the club. Probably about a year, and that's for Newcastle. I know it's dealing with Mike Ashley, but still, Newcastle is a big deal. And I think this process, a lot of people, yes, were frustrated because we want everything else on the football side of things to hurry up, and we want Qatari money, we want a competent board, and we want it sooner rather than later. So the patience isn't going to be there. But the process that the Glazers have gone on and the way that they've gone about it, it's like they could have made this process quicker. They could have made it easier, but they've not. They've done the opposite. They've actually made it harder to bear. And that's just a cynical mind of the Glazers just ticking into gear. But anyways, the Adidas deal, what does that entail? What could it entail? Because where a lot of people say, well, look, with that sort of a deal, last thing the Glazers probably want to do is sell the club, because look at the money that they can get, look at the dividends they could take from the Adidas deal. Well, I mean, the Adidas deal we currently had was a big money deal in and of itself, but that's still nowhere near the amount of money that the Glazers would need to spend on renovating Old Trafford, overhauling the training facilities. There's nowhere near the money. Nowhere. So for a lot of people saying, well, look, it means the Glazers they're staying. Oh no, they're staying. That's just Adidas. I mean, even Adidas probably look at the situation. Maybe they've got information that no one else has. Maybe that the someone at the clubs tipped them off by saying, well, look, the Glazers, they're just trying to get a few things just to go up a little bit in pricing. Once they get that little bit of extra cash, they sell the club. They're on the way out or something. And it's an interesting theory, because as far as the conversations that go on throughout, all the different places, whether that be in the halls of Carrington, whether that be in Miami, or well, I say Miami, it's actually Tampa Bay, but still Florida, Miami State, Florida. Wherever it is the conversations go on, word travels very, very fast in the modern day. So where someone might say something, I know it's also kind of a game of Chinese whispers as well. So someone somewhere will probably say something, then somebody on the other side of the world could get word of it about up to 30 minutes later. Like, it's that quick. And it feels like that the Glazers, to string along such a public process of an acquisition for Manchester United, to string people along for so long, for the amount of money that they have been doing, tells me that the Glazers do want to openly consider selling. That they do. They want to openly consider selling, but whatever happens with the club probably doesn't have association to the status of what the Glazers want to do, because the Glazers at the end of the day have got to spend a ridiculously big amount of money, a huge amount of money that they've been trying to get from investment firms and minority investments. Come in and, drop in $1 billion so we can pay off the stadium, we can pay off the debts or whatever. I mean, as it stands, no one wants to pay off the Glazer debts. No one wants to touch the Glazer debts. No one wants to see a Glazer debt. Essentially, the only person that really wants to see the Glazer debt get cleared is the Qatari group, or the 9-2 Foundation, who have offered to pay off the debt as part of the package deal to buy Manchester United, because the Glazers won't get money in like the 6 billion straight up. The 6 billion, that's the thing. The Glazers say, well, we want 6 billion for Manchester United. Well, do they want 6 billion for Manchester United, or do they want the 6 billion for them? And then everything else is to clear off the debts and the extras to put towards investment. That's probably what the story translates to when people talk about the 6 billion. That's probably where this circulates. But it's the interesting theory that ADIDAS perhaps actually have renewed this deal for as much money as it is, because they know something big is on the horizon. Something huge is on the horizon. Because they will know full well that Manchester United, being run by the Glazers, they wouldn't be stupid to sit there and say, well, Manchester United is, they're not. It's not like they're a very successful club. Well, no, we're not a very successful club. We won 1 trophy in the past 6 years. So we're not very successful, even though we had success last season. We're still not very successful. We need to win more trophies this season. And I mean, they probably wouldn't sit there and say, super big mega deal, if they didn't believe that Manchester United were going to be anything special or could be special. So you could say that it's just forecasting, that they want to guarantee a huge mega deal in case something does happen, or they want to do this mega deal because they think something is going to happen. So it's like an insurance thing, where it's like, if Manchester United were to get sold, right, to Qatar, just as an example, Qatar will have a massive, or ADIDAS will have a massive field day with this. They will absolutely, and they know it. They absolutely know it. They know the shirt sales will skyrocket through the fucking roof and into the stratosphere, like beyond the cosmic web. They know the shirt sales will absolutely explode if the Qatari takeover happens. So they know that they will win if they do the big deal with Manchester United, but they know, or they believe, that something big is going to happen on the near horizon, the near future of Manchester United Football Club's history, aka the Glazers selling to a prominent buyer, aka Qatar. Is probably going to be the most likely case. I mean, a lot of people, I've seen a news story talking about blokes from Manchester saying, "Oh well, the Qatar bids, or Qatari taking of United, it's got a lot of people feeling uncomfortable." I'm thinking, but is it though? Is it though? I mean, Abu Dhabi exists on the east side of Manchester, close to the city centre, and they're literally doing, like, they're getting building permissions, or planning permissions to build a hotel, a £300 million investment on the facilities. They're building a hotel at the Etihad Stadium, a bit like what Stamford Bridge has with the hotel at, I think, pretty sure it's a hotel. I think it's a Hilton Hotel, I think it is, right at the end of one of the stands at Stamford Bridge. The Abu Dhabi want to do the same thing. Sheikh Mansour wants to build a hotel right on the one of the end stands of the Etihad. And why not? Why not? They can do that. It's bettering the area, and if anything, Manchester councils are probably applauding it and saying, "Yay! That sector of Greater Manchester looks even better." And I think they'd be lying to you when they say, "Oh, I'm feeling quite uncomfortable about Qataris getting control of the west side of Manchester." Why? Trafford Way would look like a fucking Star Trek scene if they took over. There'd be bloody spaceships flying around everywhere. I mean, Elon Musk's space project, SpaceX project, will look like child's play. That's just, I'm just milking the amount of money that Qatar have. I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have spaceships flying around. But it's like when you see the pictures of the Middle East of like Qatar and everything, and it's like all the city skylines look so clean and spotless and everything. It's kind of like I'm just milking that deal, or that perspective, that viewpoint. Anyways, next on the prompt is the interesting one, Harry Maguire. Now, I've managed to take up a huge amount of this show talking about essentially two other topics, as well as reading a lot of comments in chat. Big ups to all of you that have commented in the chat. We are now moving on to Harry Maguire. And on the thumbnail says, "Stop rating Harry Maguire." People need to stop rating him. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why people want to persist. I've seen a tweet. I mean, fuck me, even Ten Hag says, "Oh, he is a very good centre back." No, he's not. He really, really isn't. But it's like I'm seeing. Yeah, I've just watched the Harry Maguire mistake here on a video. And it's just like, for fuck's sakes, literally, for crying out loud. I mean, this guy earns 220,000 a fucking week to play like a complete tosspot, for fuck's sakes. And I'm sitting here seeing people saying, maybe it's about time, guys, that we stop pretending that Harry Maguire isn't a good player. Suck my cock and balls, you fucking dimwit. For fuck's sakes. What is, like, why? Seriously. What's so special about him? The guy's been a liability. I mean, fuck me. Andre Onana has been here for 2 games. 2 games, and he already he's sick to the fucking back teeth of Harry Maguire. Fuck me. But people's in this fan base want to continue to give this guy, give him another chance. Take his captaincy away. He might see a flourish of talent. He might prove that he is a really good centre back. Like, fuck off. Seriously. Like, please, West Ham, please actually just put a bid in at asking price for Harry Maguire. As Sam's just said, Scott and Harry for 75 million from West Ham is a good deal. It's good money if we were to get both of those, but West Ham are lowballing every single motherfucker on the planet, and they're getting all of their bids rejected. By the way, they are sat on like 76 days or something without signing a single player, so they're in the mud as it is. So, fat chance of West Ham actually signing Maguire or Scott McTominay anytime soon. They've got to pull the finger out themselves, but fucking hell. Actually, fucking hell. I mean, it's literally, I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm in a second with the way that Harry Maguire literally, it's just like, and this is not personal. This is not personal. Like, I cannot make my disdain for a player personal. Like, I won't talk about one's personal life or family life or anything like that, because that's just, that's overstepping the mark. That's called essentially becoming a dickhead. But fucking hell, as a player, people love That rival fans love it that he's a Man United player. They love it. That right there tells you everything you need to goddamn know. The second that rival fans stop smiling and laughing at, haha, lovely stuff. I mean, Maguire, Manchester United player, the second he leaves the club and we sign a competent centre back, they go, oh, well, that's just one less thing to laugh at. That's one less thing to laugh at. I want those rival fans to be fucking miserable when they see that Manchester United have not got Harry Maguire or Scott McTominay in it. Now, Scott McTominay captained the side last night against Dortmund. He captained the side. And some people will say, well, look, Scott McTominay's got leadership qualities. Since when? Since when? Has he got leadership qualities? Oh, well, could somebody show me where they are? Does someone want to show me where his leadership qualities are? So he runs and fights for the shirt. Well, don't the rest of the squad do that? If you want to talk about running and fighting for the shirt, oh, that's why he deserves to get captaincy. Okay, then give captaincy to Diogo Dalot. That guy runs. Give it to Tyrell Malacia. He runs. Give it to Andre Onana. I mean, to be fair, Andre Onana might actually be a fairly good goalkeeper because the guy's got high standards. So you could actually probably say he'd be a viable captain. But Christ almighty, it's just like the way that this fan base, at times, they make excuses for players that we know are inexcusable. I just cannot understand it. And I mean, the player choice from the team that we lined up against the Dortmund game, and I'm tying the Dortmund game was supposedly the last the thing I was meant to talk about the stream, but I'm gonna wrap these points together. It's like Eric Ten Hag, as much as it's a pre-season game, and a lot of people saying, look, it's just a pre-season game, chill out. But that's more to the point. If you're messing up and playing like a dickhead during a pre-season game where there's no pressure, there is no pressure, and you're playing like a dickhead in pre-season, to be honest, for high standards, as far as we can go for high standards and high expectations, if I'm CEO, I'm sacking Maguire tonight. I'm sacking that guy. Because it's just like, oh, the biggest foresight you've ever seen. The guy's going to be a liability. I mean, Jacob Carrasco said it earlier on with this comment. Sell Maguire, else we're going to drop points. We are. We're going to drop points. And this is the thing. Everyone was weaponizing David De Gea last season. They were weaponizing him. They'll say, look, this guy's a tool. Get him out the team. Oh, look at the mistakes he's making. Right, okay. Well, we've got rid of the incompetent tool in between the sticks and now got your favourite new shiny toy. Guess what? We're still a complete and utter pathetic joke at the back at times. We're playing like dickheads. We've got centre-backs and players as individuals playing like dickheads. So the goalkeeper situation's not changed anything, has it? Because Maguire's still playing. So you still get the clown. You still get the clown play styles. You still get the same clown behaviour on the pitch. And Andre Onana's reaction, and seriously, go look it up on Twitter. The guy literally is ready to go running up to Maguire and start a fucking punch up. Like he's ready to fucking throw hands. Because it's such a stupid mistake to make for a guy that is £80 million, right? Now that's not Maguire's fault. That's just the incompetency of the board. 220k a week. Now that's the negotiation directly to a player. The guy knows how much he's getting paid, right? He had captaincy for Manchester United. You have a responsibility. You have a level to fulfill. But you under-deliver in every aspect. You have made a mockery of the badge that is on the shirt. The same badge that people have died for. And you've disgraced them with your performances. From a player's perspective, you've disgraced them. all the legends before you, the Rio Ferdinands, the Nemanja Vidics, Jaap Stams, or whoever else, you name them. Disgrace, absolute disgrace. Hang your head in shame and leave the fucking club. Get out. And it's as simple as that. As far as the rest of the Dortmund game is concerned, the team selection was a complete and utter shambles. I mean, I know it's a pre-season game. God forbid that we ever see that team ever start a competitive game, because if that ever happens, then we're fucked. We are DONE. Done. Finished. If we ever see that team make a competitive match lineup, God forbid that we ever see that. But then again, that's kind of our bench that played last night. If the bench is that incompetent, then you understand why when our first team options don't play, then we start to see the L's getting chalked up on the board. That's when you see us not converting wins. That's when you start to see incompetency on the pitch, because the drop-off from starting 11s to bench is still too big. The gap is still too wide. We are potentially linked with options to signing players like Amrabat and whoever the centre-back option that we are trying to look at. Those options, you can argue that will either be making it to bench or starting in the first team. The centre-back option will probably be going to the bench. But it's like we've got options to signing players that actually bring the level of quality from the bench slightly closer to that of the first team. And that's the biggest sigh of relief that I can have if we start signing players that sit on the bench and actually bring the level of quality closest to the first team. I can actually start to be a little bit more relaxed now. I can say, right, okay, so subs are coming in at 60th minute, right? Okay, game is done at 60th minute. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit there and say, well, look, 60 minutes comes along, we're making substitutions. The game plan is dead in the water now because we haven't got the players. I want to see those players that if they are coming in that we're signing, they go to sit on the bench and they bring the quality close to the first team's level. And that can be from being younger players that are sort of, cutting their teeth on the league, getting sort of bedded into the system, and have the right attitude and personality on the pitch. And personality, I mean like a fighter on the pitch, like Alessandro Martinez, not the sort of cheerleader like we have with Scott McTominay. And the guy is a cheerleader. He's not a proper fighter. He doesn't go in and brawl with people or near damn end people's careers on a football pitch, even on a pre-season friendly. Like actual fighters. I want fighters on the bench. But if you have to really prove your case in point with being a fighter, and you see a scuffle happening on the pitch, and you just like to leave the bench and run on there, it's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. I can't stop you. I'm literally, I'd be sat at home whilst you're running onto a pitch and causing a massive bust up. But it's like, think of the key figures that we've had throughout the history of football. The Roy Keanes, Patrick Vieira's, the people that just never really left any, like they never left the pitch with anything else left to give. Everything was left out on the pitch. Alessandro Martinez, I can have faith in as a personality that he doesn't come off the pitch having left anything still in the tank. Like, he'll give everything, and you can see that he leaves everything on the pitch. And that's just the way that I want things to go. That's the direction I want to see United go. That's the way I want to see the squad going. I want to see those fighters. I want to see those characters. It's like with some of the proper, the actual real top gooners, by the way, not the fake ones that plague football Twitter timelines. Not those top gooners, the real top gooners that have got thousands of matches under the belt, right? And there's a few prime examples I can think of. Those top gooners want the same thing for Arsenal. I'm sure Tottenham fans, I mean, they've never really had a world-class squad. They've only really had a couple of world-class players dotted throughout history. But I can imagine that the proper realistic Spurs fans want a team that's dogged, that fights. Chelsea fans want a team that fights. Man City, they've got a team that fights. Liverpool, I mean, sure, they had an absolute calamity season last season, but I'm sure with Jurgen Klopp as the manager, he encourages his team to be fighters. And that's what we should want the same. We should want the same. We just don't have players in the squad that want to fight. And that's been evident, by the way, with the times under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when things got tough and players got in Man United players' faces. They're like, oh yeah, no one was rushing over to get involved. No one was showing some passion on the pitch or fighting. They just carry on, just heads down, just out of the game, mentally not there, not ready. Couldn't really care less about the shirt, and that's I want that to be history. You know, pastures new. We are working towards something new, and it's special. And I want that to be. I want to see. I want us to be able to see it through completely, and I want Ten Hag to be the manager to do it. But God forbid that we see him, the manager, Erik Ten Hag, start a team like what we saw last night, because that is a recipe for self-sabotage. That's the sort of team you put out as a manager if you want to get a payday, aka get sacked. So stop it. Don't do it in competitive matches. You got away with it because it's a pre-season game. And usually we don't think much of pre-seasons. We really don't. But if that's a telltale sign for what to expect next season, we can write off any successes. We can write off any successes if that is a forecast, right? If that's foresight. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. That's pretty much wrapped up all of the points I had on my docket of topics to discuss in this show. So I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to start closing up the show here as well. So big shout outs to everybody that has dropped in and said hello and contributed to the conversation in chat. It's been a real blessing to have you guys here. Anthony, I keep butchering his name, I'm sorry. Anthony Okonkwo, Shazam, Jacob Carrasco. I believe Jacob was also a single time chatter there as well, quite new to the stream, so obviously welcome to you. But big ups to everybody else that has also dropped a like on the stream. I see we're on 5 likes. I still haven't got my live subscriber count up there, which, by the way, if you'd missed it already, we're over 50 subs. We're over 50 subs, and we're on the way to 60. That's the next domino to fall, the next domino of inevitability that this channel will reach the grand heights. And it says here that we're up to 54 subscribers. Big challenge for everybody that's still watching. Get us up to 55 before we go off the air. Get us up to 55. That will give us an extra big smile. Put an extra big smile on my face. That would. Without trying to fucking die, at least. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. I mean, God, it's like I'd expect to get a nosebleed if I get up to higher subscriber counts, not actually fucking choke out and die on stream. But yeah, if we're able to hit 55 subscribers today, then that's a massive shout out to everyone. And a big thank you to everybody, especially for those of you that have supported the channel for a more prolonged period of time. For everyone that's liked the streams, that's watched the content, that's subscribed, that's shared the content. If I've had any shares, I've actually not looked into seeing if anybody's actually shared any videos yet. So I might actually do that once I've gone off the air here. But big ups to everybody. Going to wrap this up now, and I'm going to head out. I'm going to chill out for the rest of the day. Going to see what other people are saying. I'm just going to do a quick brief in case there's anything breaking. Basically, apparently here, Donny van der Beek will not sign for Real Sociedad. So No loan deal there anymore. So he's still going to be a Manchester United player, as it would seem. Um, Rasmus Højlund didn't train with Atalanta today as he waits for the paperwork to be signed before flying to Manchester. So that deal's still not really been done just yet. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that is everything summed up. That's all good. But yeah, lovely stuff. So that's it for today. Thank you very much to everyone who has tuned in. Appreciate everybody that has dropped in, that's tuned in, that's dropped comments, that's liked and subscribed. Big ups to everybody. Let's do one last check of the subscriber count. Can we see it 55? No, not quite. Not quite 55, but I'm sure maybe that will happen today or tomorrow. Whenever it happens, it happens. But big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.